You know what I'm talking about at all?
Well, maybe in Finland they're saying elves
Wait,
exist.
did you say Finland?
Did I say Finland?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't mean
maybe.
to.
Maybe.
I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. On the
If I did, I'm like, why the hell would I say it that way? Finland.
it's
Sometimes you
up.
really hate that this is being recorded.
Hey guys, this is Waiting Dry. I'm Josh Lawyer.
I'm Sergio Lopez.
And this is our special birthday event.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us. What's up, Sergio?
Not much. How was your birthday? We kind of spent it apart from each other, if the listeners can believe.
Yeah, we were like circling each other or something, and every once in a while passing by.
Exactly.
It was all right. It was a pretty mellow birthday for me.
Yeah, same here.
Pretty nice because I feel like it usually isn't that.
No.
I'm usually getting shit-faced drunk.
Yeah, you're usually helping me with that.
Yeah. So this year we don't have to clean our house up and then make it messy and then clean it up again.
Right.
So,
and then clean up again for the podcast.
Yeah. So thank God for that. But at the same time, you guys don't get a hungover episode.
That's
true.
Pretty
fun. But yeah. Yesterday I saw you.
You did, yeah.
We
came out for the Moleskine Show book signing.
Yeah.
And didn't get a book signed, but that's all right.
It's all right. I don't like people. I don't like artists because of their signature. There's probably who the fuck is it? Is it there's one artist that his signature is fucking amazing. I can't remember who it is. I think it's the guy that does those like monsters in graphite.
Yeah.
I think he's actually in the Moleskine book.
Oh, are you talking about Jeremy Anicio or whatever his name is?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea.
Well, we could find out in the book. Flip
But
to the right page.
yeah, he I'm pretty sure it was him who he put his signature. He was signing like prints or something, and he put it on Instagram, and I was like, "Fuck you, man! Fuck you." But yeah, most artist signatures I'm not that into in general. Like I don't really care about it.
Right.
And I feel like 99% of the time it isn't that good. I mean, I personally hate my signature, so
I don't even remember how you sign your paintings, actually, now that I think about it.
I don't.
Oh.
Look at that. We got into that conversation naturally. Before the podcast started, I was like, oh, maybe we could have a funny little bit about signing paintings or not signing paintings. Because some artists do, some artists don't. I personally don't.
Oh, that's interesting. Does anybody ever give you crap about not signing it?
Those people can fuck off.
Collectors be like, can you sign a painting or whatever? I've
heard people say that. I think MJ's got it more times than I have. I sign the back. I just don't want to add it to my painting because I put a lot of time in thinking about what I want in the painting, and never once did I think, and also I really want my signature in the bottom right corner. That's the, I don't know, to me that is aesthetically distracting.
It can be, yeah.
And sometimes people are very fucking all about their signature. I don't know if it's a branding thing or not, but
maybe.
I don't know.
I got a little bit of crap for my signature yesterday because it's pretty much illegible.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
And so I wrote because we were supposed to, we got our own books that we could pass around and have the other artists sign it for ourselves. And so I just signed the front of the front jacket, reversed it so that you can actually write on the jacket and not mess up the part that has the pictures on it. So I wrote it with my signature on it, and people are like, whose book is this even? Like, is this? It looks like gin or something. I think people were saying it's like, and somebody when it got back to me, they wrote my name out like phonetically, like this is how you pronounce it.
That's hilarious. That's cool. So, but you enjoyed the signing though, Jin?
Yeah, I sure did.
When I was young though, I used to think it was clever to like put my finger in paint and then put it on the back of the painting.
Okay.
As like a fingerprint. And then that was like years ago. And then like the last maybe couple of years, I found out that Mike Giant does that and a couple other people do that. And I was like, oh, well, good thing I didn't like make a gimmick out of that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not that big into it, but I don't know. Do you sign your paintings?
Yeah, I sign every one of them.
Bottom right?
Unless it would work better on bottom left, then bottom right.
You dirty dog. Bottom left, you.
Sometimes.
You wild, wild man.
Rebel of the art world.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I could just imagine someone saying some shit like that. Like, oh, I do the bottom left because, like, the bottom right is so played out.
Yeah, some hipster, yeah.
But yeah, that's cool, though. Who had the best signature yesterday, you think?
That's a good question. I wasn't really looking at everybody else's signature. I have to go into my book and look at them, actually.
No big surprise there.
Probably Nate, because he had to draw a little character in every book.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't know if he did it only for Dasha's book, or was it Dasha that he was drawing for? I forget. Somebody's book had everybody did a little extra to it. Everybody drew like a little character or something. And of course, Nate had like the best version of that.
Right. Well, that's what he does.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good. One of the cool things about going to the signing yesterday was we had like half of the artists were like on our podcast.
It's a mini waiting to dry reunion.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, hey, what's up? Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nate was. I talked to Nate for a good amount. He was like, dude, he was like, he was first. He like, he was like, you guys are killing it with the podcast. Like, you guys are really doing it. I was like, yeah, and but he seemed like he really enjoyed it because he was like, oh, it's so much fun. Because he was trying to convince another artist. He's like, oh, you should do it.
Yeah.
It's like so much fun. You just drink a bunch of beers and talk shit. I'm like, hell yeah.
We don't do that every time. But
yeah.
We're happy to do it for whoever wants to.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, it doesn't happen every time, but if you want to get drunk and talk some shit, like, feel free.
Yeah, we're the guys.
Yeah. Nice.
Ain't gonna happen on suggested donations.
Ooh, shade.
Just kidding. Love you guys.
But yeah, that was cool. And then I got to see, well, I don't want to try to pronounce your name, but Nadezhda's show before it comes down. So that was
cool. I didn't realize she had done so much work for that show either.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was crazy how much painting she did. Fuck, that would take me so long. And yeah. And these asshole artists decided to sit. Right. I think they were protesting the show or something. So they placed barriers between me and the artwork, and they were like, "Well, you can't see." No, I don't know.
We had chance. Yeah,
yeah. No,
we locked arms. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
They were framed awesomely as well. I like the frames that she used from.
Yeah, you're a frame guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like a simple floater. So, but I mean, I like how she framed her sketches. I always like when they do the white frames for those sketches. It just, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm into that, but even then, I'm not that like particular.
Right.
But yeah, that's cool. You also work at a framing shop right now, kind of part-time.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah. So what did you do for your birthday, by the way?
The actual day of my birthday, my mom made me some traditional Mexican style dinner. And so my brother and
So like a
his
nacho Bel Grande, or what are we talking about? Chalupa?
a triple cheese gordita crunch.
Yeah, some of that authentic shit. With the fire sauce, or are you kind of like a milder fire?
I went with the, what's the new one?
It's probably like mucho caliente.
Yeah, something like that. There's like the step beyond fire sauce. Now I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Dylon. Yeah, that's cool. So you ate a bunch of gorditas and chalupas.
Exactly. Pretty much other than that, I was just at my studio reorganizing stuff, making shelves and shit.
This is kind of sad.
But no, the night before, me and my buddies from Petaluma, we went out to have a nice dinner there.
Nice.
That was more drinking then. And then yesterday was kind of a little bit of celebrating my birthday. I just made it that way in my head, even though nobody else really was aware of that.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is. I think the older you get, the less special the actual day is, probably. It's usually when is the weekend. At least for me, it's like if my birthday falls on a Wednesday, it's like, well, it's really the Saturday coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, did you guys do anything, you and MJ together?
Yeah, we went to dinner. The Bird and the Bee.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Bird and Bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, super good, super fancy.
Yeah. It's like small plates, but super good, right?
It's not that small.
Oh, really?
I thought they were like big portions.
Oh, maybe they are nowadays, but
yeah.
I went there like a few years ago.
Oh, and they were like more tapasy?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. But yeah, it was delicious. And then Monty's parents, they just moved. So they were having a housewarming party. So they were like, oh, come by.
Really?
So I was like, all right. So we ended up hanging out with Monty and his family after dinner.
I wonder if Monty still holds the record of most referenced on this show.
Probably. Second only to Guy. Shout out to Guy. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Probably.
It's neck and neck between Monty and David Chaffetz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Bryce. Bryce is, he's in the ring too. We should do, I don't know if that's even mine. I was going to say some kind of, can we Google that?
Do you have any super fans who will do? I feel like there are podcasts who, like, you can say something like that and they're like, well, actually, to actually go back and figure that shit out for you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, how was camping, by the way?
Yeah,
we haven't done a solo show where we get to shoot the shit since
before I went camping.
Yeah, it's been about a month, a little over, I think.
Yeah, before the podcast that never was.
Yeah.
Podcasting, camping was awesome.
Nice.
I guess for people that didn't listen to that episode, we were out in Maryhill, Washington, which is right along the Columbia Gorge. So it's basically the border between Oregon and Washington. And
gorge is a dirty word, by the way.
Engorged.
We'll have to bleep that.
It's a beautiful area. It's really interesting because one side of the river, as you go like closer to Portland, it's all like, like pine forest and waterfalls and all that good stuff. And then the further out you go, it starts to look more like Nevada or Utah or something crazy like that. So we were out near kind of the more desert sort of area with a lot of cliffs and stuff. And so it was super warm the first few days there, and it started to cool down.
Super warm? You mean like hot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Is that what super warm means? Are you just trying to say hot, but in a different way?
I guess so. I didn't even think of that.
Like super warm, like very warm.
Like almost hot, but
like
not
76. No, warmer.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
That's why you need to do the podcast with me. Call me out on things like that.
I've just never heard anyone say when it's like really hot to be like, oh, super warm. Like very super lukewarm. Nice. Well, that's cool. At least it wasn't cold, right?
No, it wasn't cold at all.
We went camping for a couple of days too, and the first day was fucking brutal.
Like super warm or
like
super
warm.
Cool?
No, it was super warm. Even the night was super warm. So. But yeah, and we got some ticks on us, which was cool. So,
oh jeez, you're
me
like
and
tick
MJ,
magnets. You
I know MJ had like 5 on her.
Are you serious? Holy shit! You didn't get bit,
her.
did you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, they can't bite us. We're too strong. I think that's a thing, right? But yeah, that's cool. So it sounded like you guys were in the water a lot, which is cool.
Yeah. I went swimming like pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And then it was warm enough in the water, like even at night. That was fun to go night swimming and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, we don't really get to do that around here much.
What is it, a lake or a river? Or?
A river, yeah. It's just a big river, but there's certain parts of it that are really shallow. And, the current isn't that strong, so you can just go in there and swim a lot.
Right.
So, yeah, that was fun. And then...
you didn't pee in the river, did you?
No one has to
Sergio?
know. The current will take it away.
So your friend down the stream, was he like, wow, the water just got super, super warm?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. And ever since you've been back, we went to that comedy show together, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, so much has changed. We've changed. We went and watched Rory Scovel.
Yeah, so funny.
So funny. If you guys haven't seen his stand-up on Netflix, I highly recommend it. You might hate it, but... I thought it was so funny. There's a bit about anal in it, which is to me so funny. There's there's a couple comedians like you know Tig,
Tig Notaro.
Yeah, Tig Notaro, her and a couple other comedians where they like to push the tension, like, and they just like it's almost like they're fucking with the crowd at a point. And Rory Scovel does it with this anal bit for like a good while. It's hilarious.
Did he do anything like that when we saw him?
I don't think so. He seemed like he was still working on his stuff.
Yeah.
It seemed like he had like maybe like 30 minutes of stuff, and he had to do an hour. So
yeah,
maybe like 30 minutes.
Fortunately for him, like the venue itself gave him a lot of material to work with.
Yeah, the venue speakers went down, and he ended up looking like an improv genius, which was awesome.
I know. That was probably the funniest part to me, was him diving across the stage, imitating the guy trying to fix the wires.
MJ's like stomach, I think, hurt just from laughter.
Yeah.
It was one of those, he was hilarious. So
yeah, tears were down my face at that point.
But not yours, or yours or not yours?
I grabbed somebody else's tears and put them on.
Just like a tall guy just crying, standing right above you.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's cool. What else fucking happened since? I feel like there's been so much that has happened. Oh, my dog, we took him to the vet because he had boogery eyes for a while. That might had surgery, but now his eyes are booger free. That's the way to be. We just have to put eye drops on his face. And I got a kitten.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
Last time we recorded here, you didn't even have a kitten yet.
Yeah, I got a little kitten. She is an asshole. Her name is Greg.
She's gender neutral.
We named her Greg.
Was that the only reason?
Yeah. Well, what happened was MJ wanted a cat, and so I didn't, and I kept saying no, and I knew she wasn't going to stop till we got a cat, so I figured I'm going to figure out, at least I'll get something out of it. So I thought maybe I'll be, because she told me she was going to name it something, like, I don't know, like fucking Frida Kahlo or some shit like that. I don't know. And so I was like, if at the least I get to name it, and then I'm going to try to figure out the stupidest name to name it. So then I started thinking, oh, I'll name it a guy's name. And then I wanted it to be a guy's name that was like as guy-namey as possible without sounding douchey. Just like a very plain. So I thought Greg would be the funniest because Greg is such like a, like, I don't know, like it's so like, like, and there's no, like she was like, oh, maybe Alex or like, there was like all these names she wanted to like, she was trying to trade me because I was like, oh, I get to be in charge of naming it then. And she was like, okay. I was like, cool, Greg. And she was like,
because there's no female equivalent to that.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if Steve is kind of like Stevie, like Stevie Nicks, but yeah, there's no Greg.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Greg was. It was like Greg, but then it was like, I think the only other one we thought of was like Brock, but I don't know any cool Brocks. Maybe they're out there, but
no, there was a Brock who was a bully in elementary school, so I would get that name too.
So I was like, I can't do it Brock because it's too douchey. But now our cat's a real asshole, so maybe it would have been perfect. But yeah, that was the only name other than Greg that I thought was like very manly of a name for a female cat, which is, I feel like cats in general are very feminine, and then a female cat, so it's like extra. And then calling her the most guy name I could think of was my little like contribution to, or like what I get out of owning the cat.
Yeah, much. Exactly.
But yeah, it's been cool, kind of. We had to introduce Mella to her over a couple of weeks, but now they're besties.
That's
kinda.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you can see on your stories them playing around with each other.
Yeah, they're super comfortable with each other.
That's cool.
So that worked out good.
Are they all right with being alone together yet?
Yeah, we leave all the time.
Okay.
With them hanging out.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice now. So
it's got to be a relief, I'm sure.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to bury a little cat because
no.
Although the hole would have been super easy to dig, it just would have been a little sad, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I have a horrible dead kitten story, but I really don't want to tell it.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of our listeners will thank you for not sharing as well.
I'll save you guys on that one. Dark comedy isn't forever. But yeah, other than that, you have anything new that happened?
Trying to think. I've been kind of just taking it easy since I got back from Oregon because I don't really have a whole lot on the schedule as far as shows go. Well, actually, I just did say yes to a few shows, so I got to get working on those now, I guess.
Yeah, I got to work on a show as well, which I'm kind of happy about, and at the same time, it's like coming back from summer vacation.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was for me too. Because on my way back as I was in Oregon, I just realized like how much of a reset of like my routine I needed.
Right.
And so coming back, I'm just like, oh, now what do I want to do? Because I don't really want to go back into my routine I had earlier. Because I don't know, there's stuff that I realized I don't really like about the routine I was in before. Damn. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do next.
That's
as far as what I want to paint and when I actually want to start getting around to painting all that stuff too.
Wow.
Because we do have that show coming up next year, I guess. Is that what you're referring to? Or?
No, me and MJ were gonna do like some group show for Bend Gallery.
Oh, really?
In November.
Oh, that's cool.
It's got it's only little paintings, I think 8x10s or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Like a couple 8x10s, or whatever. It's like 1 to 5, like 8x10. So
all right.
I'm probably gonna do 3, maybe 3.
But
yeah, so I have to probably start working on those pretty soon because.
Yeah, probably. September's coming up, and then it's only a couple months to work on that stuff. Yeah,
so I got to start I already cut out the panels. I just got to frame them up and then start working on those. But that's other than that, yeah, the show we're going to do with Agent Inc. in April or May. I can't remember.
I think it was May. Yeah.
Springtime.
Yeah.
Is all I have in my head.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for that too.
Yeah, me too. I think we got to meet with the owner, and because I have an idea of what I want to do. I want to see if he's cool with it. I think so, but I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it on the air.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I try not to get into it either.
But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't been. I think it's coming to the end of my summer break from art.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks, but
yeah, you haven't really been painting at all either since your show, basically, right?
No, yeah. Remember I said I was going to take a summer off?
Yeah.
And
I wasn't sure how much you were going to keep to that. Or not.
I've been pretty solid on that. And it's been really awesome. The only thing I've been doing is like in my sketchbook, and it's usually on my lunch break.
Right.
So then that's just break from work. So that's like fun to do.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, I've been like going to the river a lot, going to the ocean, seeing water, which is like, that's like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's been good. And I definitely.
Have you been inspired by the ocean?
Yeah, totally. So much, probably. But one thing is, I definitely am always going to, I think I'm always going to do this. I'm always going to take a summer off from
cool.
art.
Yeah.
That might change if I become a full-time artist, but as of...
probably won't be able to afford to do that.
Yeah. But as of until then, I'm definitely going to take summers off from art. It's like, it was so good for me. And I definitely needed a break from just the grind of work and then paint, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I hope that whistle of our dryer doesn't get
I know,
up.
I was just thinking that.
Fuck. There you guys hear a high-pitched whistle. That's our dryer, and not like, those like horror films like
yeah. That's not Greg stuck anywhere.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we pick it up. Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Anything in your sketchbook that you're like, oh, this will make a good painting?
Well, not really. I mean, there's things in my sketchbook that I'm figuring out. Like, those ghosts I've talked about, but I would never paint them how I'm drawing them. Like in my sketchbook, they're very much more like illustrate-ish. It would be very different if I painted them much more like subtle. Maybe like if the background was a gray, it would be a little bit darker of a gray and some gradients in there and some playing around. So like the ghost wouldn't be such a like defined figure in the drawing, like it is in my drawings or something like that. It would be a lot more subtle, but there are some things I'm like playing around with. Like right now I'm trying to, like I just started drawing a lot of like classic cartoon-like characters.
Yeah.
And the main reason is I'm trying to learn like the classic cartoon, like visual vocabulary kind of.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get to a point where I can just literally think of a figure and draw it in classic cartoon style.
Nice.
And that is just for...
Have you ever seen that video game Cuphead?
Cuphead?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you should look that up because it's a video game that came out a few years ago, but they did it all in like that classic cartoony animation style.
Oh, that's
it's really awesome visually. Like there's a long time ago, I just like would watch YouTube videos of just the people playing through it just because I thought the art was so awesome in it.
That's awesome. I should check that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Cuphead.
Yeah.
Cuphead?
Yeah.
I'll check that out. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And I definitely want to incorporate some parts of that into some ideas I have for future paintings. And so right now I'm just kind of playing around with that, learning like just, like how to draw paws, how to draw, just getting used to like the different style of classic eyeballs of cartoons and those kind of things. And just,
like the ovals with like the little
Yeah, the little
triangle
notches in
cutout.
it for
Yeah.
like the white highlight of an
Yeah.
eye or something.
Those are
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's things like that that I'm like, oh, like because they're just, it's just a style that,
Right. It's like a visual shorthand that they had to develop out of necessity, but then it
yeah,
just became its own thing.
yeah, and I think there's like a some form of nostalgia attached to most people, especially
For
you know,
sure.
probably like our age group and older.
Mm-hmm.
Have like this. It reads as like childhood
Mm-hmm.
to us, but if you can play with that, and I think you can use it as like a narrative tool.
Mm-hmm.
We both are always narrative. So, so for me, it's like you can use that as like a good or a bad or whatever. But I just want that tool, so I'm playing with that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I'm sure there's some ideas in there. Like I drew something. I've been meaning to do a like a. I don't know if I should talk about like this concept. And one of the things is like as ghost related,
Mm.
but I don't know. I don't want to dive too deep into it. Not that I'm afraid people are going to steal my ideas. I just don't want to put them out there. I don't want feedback yet. But yeah, how about you? You doodling at all?
I am, yeah.
Nice.
These days I've just been kind of working on just coming up with ideas that like just getting used to putting them on paper, like
Uh-huh.
not prejudging them too much before putting them down.
Mhm.
So yeah, just doing them out of my head and not worrying if they look shitty because most of
Right.
them have looked pretty shitty. But it's also just like jotting down ideas, just writing words in my sketchbooks as well, which is something I didn't do a lot before.
Huh.
Because I just, for one, like especially in school, students would always kind of trade sketchbooks around. Everybody was
Right.
always like, "Let me see your book," and
Yeah,
show
you
it.
said it was like social currency or something like
Pretty
that,
much,
right?
yeah. And so yeah, you didn't want to be judged for your ideas if they're stupid. At least that's how I felt about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it was almost all just like life sketches and stuff, and sometimes you do more involved work, but even then it was kind of like it was almost more of a competition of like who can do the coolest shit in their sketchbook, like who could
Right.
go all out in
Huh.
their books more. So like you didn't feel ashamed when you had to give your sketchbook to somebody else to flip through, or you
Right.
wanted to like impress them or whatever, that sort of thing. And once I got out of school, that just kind of went away because first of all, there was nobody left to show your book to anymore
Right.
either.
You were just like walking the streets, like, "Hey, man, you want to see my sketchbook?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"No, stranger,
Exactly.
please leave me alone."
Went to Borders and just like
Yeah.
drew next to the
He was like in the art section.
yeah.
He's drawing. And, like, "Oh, you looking for art books? Did you see this one right in my lap that I'm working on right
Exactly.
now?" Nice. Well,
But yeah, I remember I would sometimes sketch people and then like, "Hey, did you want to see what I drew of you?" I think I was just so used to trying to impress people. I was just like, I want to feel that again.
that was hilarious. And did anyone ever say no?
That's a good question. I didn't do it. I probably did that like 2 or 3 times.
Hmm.
Everybody was just like, well, everyone just said yeah, and then if it was either like they either liked it or not, but you could
Right.
just tell they were polite either way.
Right.
So,
Huh.
but
It reminds me of like, the comedian Chris D'Elia,
mhm.
where like, I saw something where he was, I don't know if it was part of his stand-up or something, but he was saying that someone was like asking if he wanted to go to his birthday, and he was like, "It took everything in my body to be like, nah." And And the guy Brian Callen, he says whenever he'll call Chris D'Elia, and then he won't answer, and then he'll get a text like 2 seconds later. It's like, nah.
That's hilarious. So
yeah.
that's like if I ask somebody to show their sketchbook or show my sketchbook, they're like, no, I don't want to see
Yeah.
it. Like that would probably make me never want to show my sketchbook to a stranger ever again.
That's what made me laugh so hard is when you said that you would ask people if they wanted to see. It's just I instantly imagined someone saying no, like, and the feeling you would get from that would be horrible.
It would be.
But also it'd be hilarious. We should make a little comedy video of that where you're like drawing someone. You're like, hey man, you want to see what I drew? You want to see it? And be like, nah, and just walk away.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. Waiting to try YouTube coming soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. Probably. I have no idea.
Speaking of YouTube, though, I actually did start doing vlogging on my page.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a whole thing yet. How's that been going?
It's a lot of work it's like takes 4 times as long probably to edit a video compared to the podcast. So I'm only doing it once a month if I could even do that.
Have you had YouTube stuff on before?
Oh yeah, I've had a YouTube channel for a long time, but this is the first time I've actually tried to do a vlog of some sort.
So the vlog is mostly you in front of a camera talking, right?
Pretty much, for the most part, yeah. I'm going to try and do more with it, but...
like you out in the clubs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just with your drone next to a beach.
Yeah. What's that? I should be like, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
You have to do your YouTube intro. You have to do it a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah, Casey Neistat, this bitch out.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's cool. So how have you been liking it?
It's been fun. I've been trying to get it to be a little bit more interactive with people, like as I'm filming. So I'll usually throw on my Instagram live thing as I'm taping it. So
I see.
There have been some people who've commented along with what I've been talking about on there, but it's really tough to just sit there in front of a camera and talk at people.
Yeah.
I noticed my ums and uhs go way the hell back up.
Right.
It's like I've gotten a bit of a handle on that in the podcasting, but they came right back when I started the YouTubing. Yeah,
I've tried to do the Instagram live before, and it is definitely not. It feels so weird to me. Mm-hmm. It's just weird. I mean, I think it's weird in general just to look at a camera and talk to it.
Oh, for sure.
So
I figure it's just like it's going to be a learning curve, like the
for
podcasting.
Sure. There's definitely some people that are good at it.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'm not willing to put in the work for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool.
For me though, it was because like there were so many things that I was sort of neglecting already. Doing the podcast like basically took up a lot of time that I would use for like just writing blogs and newsletters and stuff like that.
I'm sorry we did that to you, Sergio.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I did it to myself because I need to make this shit sound good. But yeah, so I just figure that all the stuff that I want to do but just don't have the time to do, I'll make a version of it by making a YouTube video. So that's kind of my idea behind it, because I really actually don't like to sit down and like write and type out stuff on my computer. Like for blogs, it takes me forever to do. Like it doesn't look like it. It's only a few paragraphs, but by the time I'm done with the putting pictures and all that up on my blog, it just takes forever. So I'd rather do something I have a little bit more fun doing, and it's fun to YouTube. I've found, but we'll see if I could keep it going.
Yeah, that's cool. Try something new.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. speaking of YouTube, I watched Joe Rogan's like two of his most recent guests. I don't know if you caught him.
Which ones?
It's the guy that wrote Fight Club.
Oh, Chuck Palahniuk, I think
Some
you say his
shit
last
like
name.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I haven't listened to that one yet.
And Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I think it's next up on my queue.
Yeah. Super fucking good.
Mm.
Both of them together. I felt like for like me creatively, they were like so whatever the Fight Club author guy's name is, Chuck blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
He was talking about like a technique he uses for getting people to open up to him about the darkest parts of their life. And I found that super interesting. Not that I actually care too much about like the darkest things about people. I mean, I don't not care about them,
Right.
but I'm not pursuing that. But
Yeah.
as a technique to having people open up to you, he explained how he did that by just kind of saying his darkest shit, and it allowed people to be like, "Damn, you told me that. Well, I'll tell you this," or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very interesting to like get people's because like I've talked about it before where the getting lost and finding home thing. I always enjoy when people tell me their version of that, but it is a struggle sometimes to have people tell me it because usually I'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll just tell them my concept, and then it kind of dies there because I can see them think, but rarely do they open up about that. But,
Yeah.
but the way he explained it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna totally try to practice that. But yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was cool. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson is just Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was super awesome.
Yeah.
He was
He's always
talking
good.
about one thing that was like super awesome. He's talking about stars and how obviously
Big surprise. Yeah.
and he was talking about how pirates use them as like to get from one place to another, so that they were extremely good at knowing the stars in the sky and how they kind of would change, depending on what time of the year it was and all that kind
really?
of stuff. And
Wow.
so they were very knowledgeable, and it was super important for them to know these things, or else they would die. Like they would just be lost. And that was that. So the like great pirates would be really good at navigating the stars. And so I was like, fuck, that's awesome. Because I don't know, to me, it ended up tying into like the getting lost thing,
Oh, okay.
So I ended up writing like a little something down kind of like based on that idea. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get something out of that, or just like figure out a way to incorporate that historical story into something in my art somewhere. It's not going to be super obvious. There's not going to be any like eye patches and parrots on shoulders, but
Yeah.
but there'll be something about. I've already been like kind of playing around with navigation before I heard that in my artwork, so. I think that I'm going to figure something out with that and put it in something, and it's not even going to be obvious at all, so maybe someone will catch it. Most likely no one will, though. But yeah.
Oh, speaking of things, like getting things right, it was pretty funny to listen back to the episode we did last time with Nadezhda, because you said something like, yeah, she was like, yeah, I think you got it right. I feel like if Leon was listening to that episode, he'd be like, good job, Josh. You did it.
What
Because
was it?
remember when we did, I don't remember, but the episode we did with Leon, you're like, you got everything wrong.
I don't remember. What, like names-wise? Or what
No,
were you talking
about like we were analyzing his paintings, and you were
Oh,
saying, like,
yeah. I got everything like opposite of what it meant. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Huh. I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about it, but I think I remembered it wrong. It was like, nice. I'm good at this.
yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I forgot about that. Hell yeah, got all the shit right. Man, I was trying to figure out because when I mentioned YouTube the first time, you said speaking of YouTube, and then you said it, and then I said speaking of YouTube, and then I started talking, and you said speaking of something last episode, and I was going to be like, and then I'm going to say speaking of, and then I'm going to. I was trying to get the last speaking of in this podcast, and I couldn't think of one. So thanks a lot, Sergio, for winning that game you didn't know you were a part of. But yeah. I don't know where to go from here now.
Speaking of.
Speaking of the word speaking of, it originated from. But yeah.
I was going to ask you, what sort of things have you used navigation for in your paintings before?
Well, I mean, it's. I've done little things here and there. But like it not necessarily like the words navigate. It's just more like people pointing directions or or like things like that. But
you just put a big ass compass in the middle of the canvas.
Well, that's literally like if you look at my sketchbook, that one, yeah, and then go to like the one. There's like maybe like before the last two. Or the one with the lady with the two ghosts above her, and there's like a circle. It's literally like a compass or something like that. I think it's that one. Let me see that one you're looking at.
It's the one with the.
Yeah, that one. You see, like there's like a north, south, east.
West. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and that was, I don't know. That was before I heard the Neil deGrasse Tyson thing, but I was just I don't know. I just wanted to see how that was going to look. And I don't know. People can't see what we're talking about. So,
yeah.
So it really doesn't help out. But yeah, I don't know if you want to do this thing right now.
Might as well. Smooth transition.
So I had this idea because, well, first of all, we both already talked how we're kind of not painting right now.
Yeah.
And we've both been in our sketchbooks. So I thought that it would be cool if Sergio brought a couple of sketchbooks to my house and I'd pull out some sketchbooks and we can kind of do like the art review thing, but sketchbook version. So we brought sketchbooks. I brought three older sketchbooks and the one I'm working on now. And you brought the one you're working on now, and then one from college.
Yeah, one from 2005.
Damn. Yeah, I was. How old were you, how deep into college were you at that point?
That was the year before I finished college, so technically a junior, I guess. But I was already there for 4 years, so.
Oh. So like super junior.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I would be senior, then my last year is super senior. I don't know. I think that's how that works. Is
that a real thing?
I think so.
I was just trying to go back to the super warm.
Oh, okay.
Book number 18, summer 2005.
I think that's when I started. Yeah.
It has loop in the front.
Yeah. I was into typography at the time. I was trying to learn a little bit about it, so that's why it has it in the kind of lettering.
It's not that great.
So yeah, a lot of this stuff is just stuff to make my friends laugh, like the loop L thing.
Right.
And then the very beginning picture is a very inside joke.
Of a guy kicking a guy in the face?
Yeah. It's two teachers.
Oh, really?
One hates the other, so it was like a Phil Hale painting, but like I just made a parody version of it.
That's hilarious. Nice. So let me start flipping through this sketchbook of yours. But yeah,
So have you always wrote in your sketchbooks?
Yeah. That's why I think I've mentioned it before. I have like horrific poetry in some old ones.
Right. When did you stop with the poetry?
I mean, I still do like little things here and there. Like if you turn to like I think the last page,
Okay.
I wrote something based on that pirate thing, like the top right.
Oh, okay.
It's just like a small little like wording game of like figuring out how to think about the pirates and their stars being their religion. So,
okay.
so yeah, that was like me because I don't know. It's kind of like getting your mind. Like for me, it's like getting my mindset to think of, this concept and how I would explain it in a way where it's more. There's more depth to the kind of like how we talked about last week. How like poetry, it forces you to like slam in as much content as you can. And
Yeah.
but yeah, so that like little bit is like it's just like a little. I don't know. Do you want to read that? I don't know if you want to.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you if you wanted me to read.
I don't care.
Okay. It says, pirates look to the heavens for direction, and floating on God's mirror image learn to get lost.
Yeah, and that's that. And so, I'm always dealing with like the getting lost and finding home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought it would be fun to them looking for like because if you go back to like religion, it's all about like survival. I think, in my opinion, like that's how how religion is explained logically to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I figured, and if the stars are their religion, then like there's also like in the Bible they say like we were created in God's mirror image.
Right.
So I thought it would be cool.
Yeah, God's
to
own
have,
image, something like that. Yeah.
So it'd be cool if you made it them floating on water at night. It mirrors the skies, which is their God. So it's like they're floating on mirror image instead of like pretending that we're versions of. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
I
just
get
a
what you're
quick little
saying. Yeah.
write-down.
That's cool.
There's, but yeah, that's it's a lot better than some of the garbage I wrote when I was younger. Still not great, but it's a thing.
I like your little diary entry across from it too. Today I turned 32.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, do you ever do that at all?
No.
Huh. I always am like writing random shit. If me and MJ get in a fight, like a decent sized fight, I'll usually write something like "Today fucking sucked" or something like that.
That's interesting.
But yeah,
I like you're doing the what do you call it, the style, the old cartoon style with the cat too.
Oh yeah.
It's farting like a little skull cloud.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's me practicing. That one I was actually pretty happy with. Though I did a duck, I think the page before I wasn't that happy with. Yours are pretty good. Like you have a lot of like figure drawing stuff. Is it all like from like figurative like figure classes and stuff like that?
Pretty much. Like I used to do just like 8 hours a day or more of just going from either class to like figure drawing workshop things. Because like there was a handful of us that took advantage of all the free workshop stuff that we could as far as figure drawing goes, and that was pretty much what I was most passionate about at that time anyway.
Because you like to see old man balls.
There's probably some of that in there.
There's all there is. Literally, if you're listening to this, all I see is man balls. It's every
He's
page.
not even looking at my book, actually. He's just flipping through his phone.
Yeah, you're just man spreading over there.
That's true. I'm these 35-year-old balls now.
But yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of gouache at the time. I think I had multiple books going on at the same time, so that was my tone paper book. Right. So that's why I was doing a lot of color stuff in that one.
I've never even seen this sketchbook before, like this type of sketchbook.
I don't even know if they still make them that exact way anymore. Back when Blick was Utrecht, they had different stuff.
It's cool, though. I like your use of color in some of this stuff.
Thanks.
It's definitely... like it's way more like of the colors aren't as muted as you are now. Like
that's like, true.
The bluers are so much more bluey and greens and and like
Yeah, I noticed that in my own work recently. I'm like, I never really do much with strong color anymore, and I
Right.
actually want to get back to doing that more as well because I think there is something to like really punchy color that I'm not taking advantage enough of at the moment.
For sure. Yeah, it's this weird thing I think that happens with artists where sometimes I think we overcorrect. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and then you have to like go back and like look at your old shit and be like, oh damn, like I used to do this so much better, and like,
I know.
and you go, oh, I gotta like redo that. I gotta go back to that. Happens all the time. I think like we get obsessed with like subtleties of things and things like
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
And you go like, oh, I gotta be more subtle, to the
Yeah.
fucking point where it's just like the most boring fucking painting
Exactly, yeah.
possible. It's like an old guy looking barely anywhere about nothing at all.
Yeah. Genius.
And you're like, there's nothing more subtle than that. You know, and I think, there's a reason why you want to like make sure things aren't overdone, but then at the same time, it's like you overcorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And I
For
think
sure.
it's a good practice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the great things about being able to catalog your stuff on social media and in your sketchbooks. You know, it's like I love my sketchbooks because I feel like the progression is always evident. Like I can just look at it and be like, oh wow, like I just see, even if, because for me sketchbooks are like just quick and like almost like stupid. You know, like I'm not trying to like take it too seriously. For the most part, I want to like be able to like fuck up on it and work out ideas and that's how you get the gems, you know. That's how you get like little things of like that you would just never be able to do. And so when you're able to go look back, you get to see the progression that you've made. At least that's how I think of it. Like, oh wow, I used to really suck. And you get to see that, I think, in your ideas, and you also get to like remember ideas that aren't shitty. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot that idea is good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit ideas, I think, you know, but
For sure.
But I don't know. There's something cool about that. I like this boxer guy.
I don't remember what it is.
After Steve Houston.
Oh, okay, yeah. Back then. I was doing a lot of copying of other people's work in my sketchbook too.
Oh,
so
is Steve Houston the guy that does those like crazy boxing paintings?
Yeah.
Like everyone in the crowd looks evil as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's work is so fucking good.
Yeah. So
kind of.
For a while,
didn't he faded hard, right?
No, I think he just doesn't put out that much work.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking someone else.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe you are. I'm trying to think of, because I'm trying to think of what his crowds look like in his paintings. He actually doesn't normally paint a lot of extra crowd work in his paintings. It's usually just the boxers.
Well, this guy's like, his stuff, the guy I'm thinking of, his stuff is super loose. And it's the box, like the crowd looks evil. It's like if they're all wearing like top hats and shit. Like it's from that era of boxing, you know.
Oh,
I don't know. I'd have to do some research. You know, me and names.
I think you might be thinking of George Bellows. I could be wrong.
That might be right.
But yeah, that guy was like in the 20s and 30s or something like that.
Yeah,
but
that sounds about right.
Oh, okay. No, this guy Steve Houston teaches down in L.A. And it used to be. This is back before everybody was posting everything on social media. Social media didn't even really exist. So finding stuff like his sketchbook was actually pretty rare. And so it was kind of like, it was almost a thing where like it was a bit of like currency to even know like about these kinds of things. So, yeah, it was just stuff that was getting traded around as files between people in the know, I guess. And, so some of us went and like did photocopies at the school library of his sketchbooks and stuff, and that got passed around. And then I started doing copies of them.
That's cool.
Because I just like the way he paints with gouache is pretty amazing.
Huh.
So I tried to do that with my own gouache and never got anywhere close to as good as his stuff. But
that's your opinion. I think you're even better than he ever will ever be. Let's look at Steve Houston. But yeah, definitely one of the things I'm noticing is that like your color, there's some of them where I'm like, fuck, that color is great in that one. Why doesn't Sergio ever paint like that?
Point it out to me so I could steal my own color schemes back.
I like this. I like this color palette you got here.
Yeah, that's a Steve Houston copy. That's why.
And I like this little boxer guy here.
Oh, you're
Steve
pointing
Houston.
out all the Steve Houston was.
Nice.
That's hilarious. I'm like, oh man, I gotta steal more Steve Houston again.
No, you just have to steal from yourself that stole from Steve Houston.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you explain it, you go like, "Oh, I just looked back at my old college or sketchbooks, and I was inspired by what I was doing back then." And Steve, no one will ever find out that you were stealing from Steve Houston the whole entire time, your whole entire career, literally till this day. All you've been doing is copying Steve Houston. Tell us the truth, Sergio. Is that true or not?
This is a part where I edit out.
All right, so that was
my old book.
That was cool. It was way like, you can tell you put a lot of time and effort into it. That's like
way too much effort. Like it got to a point where it was like overtaking, like, I guess, serious quote unquote work, where I was putting way more effort into my sketchbook instead of my portfolio.
Right.
Where nowadays I completely neglect my sketchbook almost, and it's like just little doodles and jotting down ideas.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like what I'm enjoying now, is because most of my sketches are during lunch. So I have such like a short amount of time to try to push to draw.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very focused. But I'm like, I don't know. I get really happy with how much I can get done in that little section of time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it doesn't take anything away from when I get home and I'm in my studio. What are you looking at? You look like weirded out. Oh.
No, I was looking at this, like, trying to figure out when you did it. 7:25. That's cool. Yeah, it looks like, let's see, what year was this? 2016, 2017. You had, like, different, I guess, compositional considerations for your books. Like, whereas now it seems like your things are a little bit more free-formed, like floating in the space of the picture itself. In these older ones, you kind of contained them a little bit more, it almost feels like.
That makes sense. I think I do that a lot in my tone sketchbooks in general.
Oh, okay.
Compared to, like, the Moleskines.
Oh, okay, got it.
But maybe I'm wrong. So this is your new one now. I'm looking at. It's definitely. I mean, there's some stuff that you put some work into.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I think you're talking it down a little bit. It's crazy though, because. I don't know. Maybe it's the amount of time. This one's cool. It's like watercolor.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was we talked about that sketch with Eliza, in that episode. It was the dream thing. So it was after a dream that I had.
Oh, and you got up and painted her? Is that what it was?
Like the next morning, yeah. I just did like a little painting out of my head of that dream, like the girl in the dream.
That's cool. Nice. I don't know how this is going to sound back when people listen to it. It's just going to sound like us quietly looking through books.
I know.
But yeah, I think that's it. That's cool.
I think that's everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Your sketchbooks it's definitely two different sketchbooks, like very different from college to now.
Even the span of time that they took to do, like that sketchbook, the first one you looked at, the 2005 one, probably I think that one, because it's a tone sketchbook, I kind of went, I would only do like color things in it, so it would take me a little bit longer. But normally when I was in school, a sketchbook would take me about 3-4 months to fill up like 100 pages or so.
Damn, that's fast.
Yeah, it was a lot of just quick line drawings and sketches, or life sketches.
Right.
But that one probably, I think I worked on it for a couple blocks of months at a time, and it took me around a year to finish. Whereas the one that you just looked at, I've had that same book for probably over 2 years or so at this point.
Right. It's barely.
Yeah, it's only like a quarter thing.
Yeah.
But I also these days just draw on whatever is handy. So I have like 4 or 5 unfinished sketchbooks just laying around.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I have a couple sketchbooks, like bigger, because the size I've really been like doing, or kind of like a size that fits into my little like sketchbook bag.
Right.
So I take that to work every day, but the bigger ones, they're kind of like I rarely sketch in my my studio, so
right.
Those take way longer. I have a sketchbook right now that I think I talked about it before, but I lost. Well, like I was doing a show in a place called The Structure that's now closed, and you would paint the walls like as an installation kind of thing for your paintings, and so I brought my sketchbook that had like whatever I was gonna do on the walls or whatever. And and I lost my sketchbook during that time, and then I think a couple of years later I got it back. So that happened in 2012, and I'm just about to finish that sketchbook now.
Oh wow!
So it'll be a little over 5 years.
Damn.
From start to finish. But I mean, I got it back, so who gives a fuck? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sketchbooks to me are super important. So I've lost one sketchbook that hurt really bad.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've got them all since I think senior year of high school. So almost like this, like since I think 2003 or 3 or 4 is my first sketchbook I have.
Oh really?
Do you have all yours?
Pretty much, yeah. I have the very first one I started in what was it? 2001. Yeah, it would have been summer 2001, where we were kind of required to keep a sketchbook for school purposes. So before that, I'd never kept a sketchbook.
How does
at all.
that one look?
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell it's just like beginner art school student
I'd
stuff.
like to see that one.
Actually, well, I do have it. I have my first 3 scanned, I think, because there was I put them up on my Patreon because it was going to be a thing where I was like, oh yeah, that would be something cool to share, like my entire collection of sketchbooks scanned and just put up on like a PDF for people whoever wants to download it. But that just takes way too much time to do. So I only went through like my first 3. So
right now for your sketchbooks, do you use them almost like to get like your composition and all that like set up?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes, depending on what I'm doing. But that's also partly why I don't really fill up sketchbooks either. I don't do that much compositional thumbnails and stuff like that. It's almost all in the computer.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. So sometimes when I get stuck on something, I'll pull out a sketchbook and work on something there. But I have been trying to do more. That's partly what I've been into recently, is just putting things from my head to the paper. Right. Getting that muscle back again.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day, kind of like the idea of, I've heard, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard it too, where they talk about children and their handwriting and how that seems to be affecting their ability to write like their quality of writing has, like their vocabulary shortened, and
Oh, sure.
they're like, I don't remember where I heard this. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Mm-mm.
But they say they're like, I don't know. There might be like the whole like correlation and causation thing, you know? But they were kind of saying that that's because kids don't handwrite anything anymore. And even that the guy that wrote Fight Club, he mentioned something like that in Joe. Well, he said he doesn't consider typing writing. He considers a pencil in his hand writing.
Oh, okay.
And the typing part is just like so he can get it kind of in a computer and be able to like have a complete thing.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And I was like, I never thought about that and how that might apply to artists.
Yeah, that's a good correlation for sure.
So, but yeah, that kind of makes sense about what you're saying, like putting idea to your hand and having those like that, getting back that kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, like taking any sort of mechanical thing out of it.
Right.
And doing it that way. Like you probably saw in my newest sketchbook, these little abstract little thumbnail things I was doing. And there's something about doing those that is interesting because not only do you find your like what you tend to gravitate toward when you're like sort of mindlessly sketching, but you can also like start to see patterns in your own stuff that it's the only way that you can really see that if you do like little abstract things like that. You start to see like, oh, I tend to do this shape or this like brush stroke or line or whatever.
Right.
And so
there's a lot of like phallus shapes.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a cool little.
I've also been getting
exercise.
into like brush and ink. I bought a bunch of little like sue me brushes and stuff like that recently. That's been fun.
Sue me, sue you. Sorry.
It's not waiting to dry without a dad joke.
But
how many fart jokes have we done yet?
There's one.
All right.
But yeah, that's cool. So right now, what are you thinking you're trying to get out of the idea to like what is there any like thing you're really trying to achieve through that?
Of the abstract thing or just in general?
Just in general, like trying to be in your sketchbook more. Is there is there things within like you, because it definitely sounds like you're moving into a different direction as far as art wise,
right?
And it seems like you're working things out. I don't know if it's like a concept or yeah,
there's a few things going on that I want to work out with the well, for one, like at least I'll start with the abstract thing. That is interesting to me because of that series I've been kind of plugging away at here and there off and on,
right?
With the semi-abstracted figures,
the orgies. We're all familiar.
Yeah,
go on.
The orgies, exactly.
The Matrix orgies.
Yeah, orgies in the dark. I think that's what you call it. Yeah.
Do you know what scene I'm talking about in the Matrix where they're like all having an orgy?
I know the reference, but I never saw the third one.
Well.
But yeah.
Well, Neo's been dead the whole time.
Is that a Sixth Sense reference?
I don't know. Is Neo in the Sixth Sense, Sergio?
I don't know. I never watched the third one, so I don't know if this is a reference or something that actually happens in the movie.
And Morpheus sees dead people.
Yeah.
Such bad jokes. But yeah. Sorry about that.
Anyways.
Anywho.
Trying to be serious right now. Yeah, it's just like using those as compositions instead of trying to just do it all on the computer, seeing how that works out instead of just like trying to Photoshop cram things together.
Right.
How I've been doing it before.
Yeah, like most people do when they're cheaters.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Use Photoshop. It's a good tool.
I'm just going to use all of Steve Houston's sketchbooks and mash them together, and that'll be my compositions from now on.
I don't know if I've ever seen his work. I might have, but from the looks of your copycat work, he must be awesome.
Yeah, he is. Come on our show, Steve.
But yeah, that's cool.
And then, yeah, beyond that, so there's, I used to be more into, like, before I was doing the painted roses stuff,
right?
I was doing the concepts that I would want to do. I would try to kind of cater them a bit more to the models themselves. Mm-hmm. And it just became, once I got onto the painted roses stuff, it just became super easy. Just like plug a model into that thing and just let me be the in charge of the concept, and you just put anybody into it and it'll come out the same way, basically. Right. It just got pretty boring after a while. Right. Probably got boring to see for a lot of people after a while too.
Oh, dare they?
But I'm still working on stuff like that, but just doing more like what we were saying actually earlier about like putting more punchy color into it, into the reference itself. So that's been fun to mess around with that too. Yeah. But so
when you do, because I noticed with whatever the fuck his name is, Steve something. Come on to our show, by the way. Steve,
yeah. Steve whatever the fuck. Come on.
But I noticed that like a lot of his pictures are like high contrast. Like the lighting looks like it's very. Are you trying to play around with lighting in that way at all?
I have, yeah. And there's stuff that I shot with the Paint Roses stuff that's pretty high contrast. I just haven't gone around to doing anything with any of those yet. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I want to shoot reference for, I want to have not just be a high key sort of painting it. Right. So I have ideas for that too. But but back to what I was saying with the models, like so there's a model that is supposed to come in November to the Bay Area. I've worked with her before. Her name in model world is Freshy. And
MJ wants to work with that lady.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that.
I don't know if she's going to try to sneak in on...
Well, she comes up to Santa Rosa because that's where my studio is. So, yeah. So, looking at her work, are you that familiar with her photos, like the stuff on her?
I've seen some of her stuff.
Yeah.
MJ's like, oh, she's amazing. I'm like, but what about me? What about my amazingness? You know what I mean?
You just need to jump in a bathtub with like colored water.
I am usually saying it while I'm in a bathtub with colored water. Yeah. And she's like, look at this photo. And I'm like, look at me.
Yeah. Take a photo of this. Am I not good enough for you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I worked with her a long time ago. I've done some like Painted Roses stuff with her. But that was before I was that familiar with a lot of her work. And she's not only what I think an amazing model and a really good photographer as well. I like that her the concepts in her work are really edgy as well. Right. And that's just given me sort of a, like, I guess, inspiration to go with concepts that I wouldn't necessarily think of if I didn't have a model that would fit in those a bit more. Right. So I've just been trying to think of things that might be more, I guess, either dark or like erotic or whatever, like sort of that.
Something like almost like The Matrix, but more orgy like.
Yeah. Oh, wait. If The Matrix was just an orgy, yeah, kind of like that. But
you obviously didn't watch episode 3. It's literally just a Matrix orgy.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole movie.
Oh, okay.
And then
how did I miss it?
Then roll credits.
Sounds like it's up my alley. How did I miss it?
Super good. It's the best of the 3. A lot of people say.
Yeah, that's what I always heard. Yeah. Just like episode 1 of Star Wars is the best one.
Don't you dare talk about Anakin.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
Dead air. Sorry, I was drinking my coffee and Sergio wasn't doing anything.
I don't know why I just froze up like that.
I was like, I'll let him continue talking while I drink my coffee, and then
Then I just like got transfixed on your coffee. On your coffee. I mean.
But you were saying, so she's edgy.
Yeah.
Let me just help you out there real quick, and then you're gonna use her almost aesthetic to influence your artwork.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
And so I just been thinking of like just jotting down ideas in my sketchbook that might fit with her a bit more, or just take advantage of somebody who's not afraid to be edgy in their modeling.
For sure, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I've been most looking forward to as far as like what I want to do next. And then also, I've just been kind of thinking a lot about just what I want to do as far as, do I want to, I was actually talking about this with people at the sketchbook signing yesterday.
Oh,
of
you talk to people outside of this podcast?
Yeah.
When does that become a thing, Sergio?
Well, since it's recorded, I don't really talk about it that much. I don't think it's that interesting if it's not recorded.
Yeah.
So, it's
so you were talking.
I really need to just have my recorder on at all times just to catch all the gems.
Yeah, there's a podcast. I don't remember who did it. Maybe it was Radiolab, but about a guy who he literally was obsessed.
Oh yeah. I do remember that.
It was Love and Radio. Maybe not. I don't remember.
No, it was Radiolab. Yeah, I remember that.
But were they doing it on? I think
maybe they were too.
I have a feeling Love and Radio was the original episode, and they might have featured it.
Oh, okay. I think you might be right.
Because they kind of do things like that, where they just let someone tell a story.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know. But back to what we were talking about.
But no, I was just talking about how everybody's just kind of down on the gallery scene right now.
Yeah.
Overall,
it's brutal.
It's not just Josh who doesn't want to do gallery shows. It seems like. So just talking about like what else could we do besides it's sort of almost like it almost becomes sort of a treadmill of like never ending, like feed gallery, new work, and it's only up for a month, and then on to the next thing, and you just have to keep doing that over and over again until no ending.
I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard it somewhere recently where someone like said something like that that us as artists will most likely outlive every gallery. Well, they said it as a fact, like we're going to outlive every gallery we work with. So if you think about that, it's kind of weird because we're the most dedicated to our artwork, but so much of it is put into the hands of people that at some point are probably going to fail.
Yeah.
As as this thing that we rely on. So it's kind of interesting.
That's an interesting point.
Although, I mean, I'm not 100% against galleries. It's just a interesting thing. I mean, it's weird. MJ was, I haven't read it yet, but she was telling me that there's this interesting article on, like, Juxtapost did with ThinkSpace.
Oh, really?
And ThinkSpace, the way they kind of said things where they pretty much were like, galleries need to step their shit up. Like, they were saying that when you come to us and we work with you, like, we're going to make you more successful as an artist.
That's the idea.
And I was like, well, that's, and they were saying that, like, it seems like a lot of artists are really good at this social media thing and are growing huge followings. And these galleries are now relying on those artists for them.
Right.
Rather than, and they were saying, and what we do was the opposite. Like, we help you become more well-known through our hard work of social media and all these things.
Yeah.
And you definitely see it with that specific gallery. You know, you see artists that start working with them and they just become more well-known and get more, work and more kind of like, it's just good for them overall. And seeing them and their mindset of how a gallery should run in our present day was super inspiring. Of like, fuck yeah, like they get it. They see what artists see when we're like, why the fuck do I need you? You know, like, and they see it and they go like, well, we're here to help you, not to mooch off of you, which is kind of how it feels now with social media being a big factor. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Where'd you guys go with this conversation?
Oh, it was more like, just like, it's something I've been thinking about a lot too, of just like diversifying just my output as far as a career goes.
For sure.
And just thinking about not, because I always, you get into the fine art world, at least I did, sort of naively about like, oh, you know, you just got to find that one good gallery that will sell all your work for you.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, oh, okay, no, actually, you need like 5 good galleries that will sell some of your work for you. And then now it's just like, well, you need at least something. Hopefully you find something that will sell some of your work for you.
And now you're like, I need 5 galleries and my weed dealer
exactly.
to give me weed so I can sell. So I can sell it. And then, and then you're in prison. And then, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but
perfect metaphor. Very accurate.
We all sell weed. I'm just kidding. I do not. If ever my employees listen to this, this was a joke.
But yeah, it was more of a thing where I've been looking at like different merchandise opportunity sort of things. There have been other things that are other like websites and stuff that have hit me up about doing sort of like licensing stuff, things like that. And so yeah, also that just I've been really getting into just looking at what's on websites like Etsy and Society6 and like studying what's happening there, like who's selling a lot and why.
Right.
And a lot of it is just like a lot of high volume, but sort of simple work, but you can put it fits on things easily. Like you can, there's a certain way of making an image that just lends itself really well to be put on things rather than put in a frame on a wall. So I've just kind of taken it on as a little side challenge to try and be more, I guess, of a designer in that way. Like think as a designer.
Speaking of side challenges.
What?
I was just kidding. This is a callback to speaking of.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yeah, that's all I was saying.
I thought that was a good joke because it was side challenge. I don't know.
That's your new side challenge to come up with more speaking ofs.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. That's why. Never mind. God damn it.
You're too quick for me.
That's what she said. But yeah.
But yeah, just cool. Just thinking of things that I can still do it in a way where it's satisfying to me as an artist and painter, but in a way also lends itself to be for like a graphic design sort of aesthetic as well. Right. So yeah, that kind of ties into everything, like doing more little abstract studies, and I just have ideas in my head of how to incorporate the same sort of thing I like to paint, just make it into more of a, I guess, a different sort of aesthetic that I want to explore as well. Like even like the plein air stuff, like or landscape painting. Trying to think of it more as like what it would look like if I designed it like with a poster in mind rather than like a frame in mind. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about things. I think there's like just off the top of my head, like you know that Aries guy. I think we talked about him before. Mr. Aries or whatever you call it. Yeah. Like I think he's kind of like does like he has this style that is almost like what you're saying. Like it could lend itself to
simple prints like in a second.
For sure, yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like amazing as a painting.
Mm-hmm.
The guy El Mac, he does some stuff. You ever seen El Mac?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
He does some stuff like which is like, I don't know, that could easily be translated. I wouldn't wear it as like a T-shirt or anything, but it translates easily, but without forfeiting, his aesthetic. Which is cool. And I'm assuming they had to figure that, because not all of it does, but just some things. And you still have that connection between like their highly rendered stuff and like the simplest form. There's no disconnection from the artist. If I see one or the other, I'm like, oh damn, that's dope. That's what's his name.
Right.
Or, oh, that's super fresh. That's what's his name. Or, oh, that's super cool and awesome. Oh, that's hella warm. Super hella warm. But
color scheme is super warm.
That's what's his name. But yeah. I think that's a cool little challenge. That's I'm not the big, like MJ, she's like really into like making little trinkets and things, but because she also likes that kind of shit.
Right.
I absolutely hate that kind of shit. Like, if anyone's ever like, here's a keychain, I'm like, the garbage is over there. Like, save. Like, please never buy me a keychain. Please never give me like little shit. Like little. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's like garbage. It's like, how long do I have to hold it before I throw it away? Kind of stuff. But MJ loves that kind of stuff. So like she's trying to figure out how to make her stuff into that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to be
find
like
out the quickest way to the garbage can.
yeah. It comes in an Amazon box, and I throw the entire box in the garbage. I'm like, I just helped 1,000 people out. But yeah, there is a challenge to that, to figuring out how to get things onto how to get artwork onto things without making it lame in a way. And yeah, simplifying the image, whether it's like just minimizing the amount of colors you're using, or maybe just keeping it black and white or something like that.
Right, exactly.
And then trying to figure out how that still translates to you as an artist.
Exactly.
Is a challenge, and a fun one at that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I started breaking out my gouache paints a little bit more recently, because that lends itself so well to
nice. I just got gouaches. I've never played with them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I want to try it. I love how they look. I really do. But that's cool. So have you come out with anything somewhat in the direction you're trying to go? Have you been happy with all the stuff you're coming out with?
No, it's still mostly in my head so far. Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that without reference first.
Right.
So that's the hard part, for me at least. Breaking away
reference.
Yeah, like putting the stuff that's in my head onto paper first, and then from there. Because I've been going so long with like starting with reference first and making idea out of the reference.
Right.
And I want to do it the reverse, because it'd be easier to come up with the idea first, and then if I need reference afterwards, fit it to
and these
the
ideas idea. You mean like, could you give me an example of that?
Not really.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not being clear at all. I don't know.
I just don't know what you mean by like we're talking about concepts here, or like actual like narrative, or
oh yeah, no, I haven't thought of anything narratively. Big surprise. But
yeah, that's why I'm a little confused.
Yeah, no, just like visual ideas. Like I have ideas of doing like little kind of portraits, almost monochromatic portraits, or like one color or really simple color scheme of like a portrait, but kind of messed with a bit, like with like different shapes going on in it, not flowers. It's hard to explain, in words.
And human talk.
Yeah.
Are you an alien, Sergio, by the way?
My signature is alien.
You're like legal or illegal?
Yeah, exactly.
Legal being the ones that fly in spaceships, by the way.
Right.
That's horrible. Sorry.
The ones that definitely do exist.
Shout out to Bigfoot.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I? God, there was someone. Fuck. Someone like made this point about Bigfoot the other day, and I was like, God damn, that's so spot on. Fuck. I think it had to do with like not believing in dinosaurs. Like, yeah, that was it. Like the conspiracy theory of like that's kind of creeping up about like dinosaurs never existed.
Oh, was it at the comedy show?
Was it?
Was it? It wasn't Rory Scovel that talked about that, was it?
I don't know.
Oh, you know what? I don't remember the exact joke, but it was the guy who opened the show.
You said something about that?
Yeah. I remember that now.
That they don't believe in dinosaurs, but they believe in Bigfoot.
Was it that? Oh, okay, maybe I'm thinking something completely different. That sounds like something Plague of Crows would say.
well, that's maybe I just thought of it. I don't know. I just remember thinking like, I don't know if I just thought of it or someone said something similar to that that maybe made me think of it, or maybe they said that out loud. But it's like the idea that you don't believe in something like you don't believe in dinosaurs or that the earth is round, but you also believe in Bigfoot, and there's literally evidence for the other two, and there's no evidence, no legitimate evidence for Bigfoot. Sorry to all you Bigfoot believers out there. I mean, are you I don't even know. Maybe you're a Bigfoot believer, Sergio, and I'm just over here talking shit straight to your face.
I don't believe he doesn't exist, but I haven't found the evidence either that it exists either.
You know what's funny is like, because there was like the giant human people back in the day, like that, like like the Homo sapiens, and then they had like the Hobbit type people.
Right.
There was like the giant type people.
Yeah.
And so like people, I think I've heard even Joe Rogan say where he was like, yeah, Bigfoot existed, so that's why. And I've heard, I think Plague of Crows has said that, where he's like, well, he existed, or we're like, he's a real thing. Like, I mean, it wasn't called Bigfoot, motherfucker. Like, goddamn, like, and no one's over there saying elves exist because there was these tiny people that used to live. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about at all?
Well, maybe in Finland they're saying elves exist.
Did you say Finland?
Did I say Finland?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to.
Maybe.
I'll have to go back and listen.
Yeah. We'll figure that out.
If I did, I'm like, why the hell would I say it that way? Finland.
It's
sometimes you really hate that this is being recorded.
It doesn't matter if it's recorded because MJ, she'll say some shit and like where she'll stumble on a word or something, and I never ever let it slide.
Yeah.
I'm never like, oh, Sergio just meant Finland. I'm like, wait, Finland? I just like that awkward, like, it's the best when you get to like call someone out on something so stupid.
I heard Finland is super warm.
It's like one of those things. I think Ari Shafir talked about it, where like if his friend buys like a milkshake, he'll just slap it out of his hand because it's funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's like, yeah, because who cares? I'll just buy him a new milkshake. But for that second of him angry, like, it's worth it. And I'm like, that's kind of how I feel about correcting people when they say things like incorrectly and doing it in like a very like, wait. Yeah. Did you just say, everyone does it. Like everyone messes up.
Yeah.
But it's so fun to be like, wait, did you just say this instead of that? So dumb. But yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm very glad that you find that funny.
Yeah. I haven't done it to guest yet, I don't think. Maybe MJ, but I try to be nice to the guest, except for you. You're the one person. I'm like, wait, Sergio, did you say very, very warm?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. What shows are you working on next?
I just agreed to do a quick portrait for a show in Oakland at Fault
Hell
Line.
yeah.
So
A portrait of who?
I don't even know yet. I just said, okay, I'll do something.
Oh, it's like a portrait show.
Yeah.
Oh, at Fault Line.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. I think is that coming up pretty soon?
Yeah, it's like next
Oh.
month.
Yeah, I told them no because they asked me to do that. I said no only because it's close enough to summer.
Yeah. Well, first he was like, do 3. I was like, no, I can't do 3.
Yeah,
I was like, I'll do 1.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm still in summer. I think I was like I don't know. The bend is like right at the.
Hmm.
I think it's November show. I don't know, but I have to paint in September to do it, which I'm not too happy about. But I've had long enough summer. I need to get back to work.
Do you think you're gonna be? It's gonna be hard at all to get back into painting, or you feel like you're fine?
No, I'm fine.
No, okay.
I got to do a quick studio clean, and then back to painting, make some frames, and then get to it.
Hmm.
Stop being a lazy ass. I was going to say a B word, but
So
You
being
know.
a lazy, pretentious C word.
yeah, yep. God, what was I? I don't remember. So that came up yesterday, or the day before. I know
I did it.
Kaneba texted me that for my
Oh,
birthday.
okay.
She was like, "Oh, have fun being a pretentious cunt" or something like that. Thank you.
I love that our show has memes already.
Memes? Is that a
Kind
meme?
of. Yeah. It's not well, a meme doesn't necessarily have to be what you think of like a picture. Like a meme is just like a sort of a running sort of reference.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Mm.
You learn something new every day.
Watch me be completely wrong.
You're just like losing confidence. I'm like, really? Yes. Are you sure? Huh.
I mean, I think so.
I mean, that's how I explain it in my own head.
Yeah.
That's the worst. You ever get that? You like
All the
you
time.
figure it out. Something like I don't know. I'm fucking self-taught, so there's so many things I just like figure out. Like, yeah, that seems about right. That's why that happens.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's like you're explaining to someone that's smarter than you. It's like, well, that's not true, and you're like, well, yeah, that's not true. I guess. I guess you're right. I don't read books, so I just assumed I'm right.
Yeah. Yeah, I lose confidence very quickly in everything I do.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Fuck. I don't know. Well, we talked art today, so.
Yeah, I guess we did enough of that.
Suck on that, guys.
I did bring a book as well. We could try that again.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really?
I
Where's
did,
that?
yeah. It's in my bag.
All right. Do you want to do a quick pause? You want me to keep talking? I'll just keep talking. Like I'm all talking stuff.
You won't just quit
It's
talking while I take a sip of coffee. Or whatever.
Yeah, I'm no Sergio. When you sip coffee, I talk.
Yeah,
It's like those awkward moments. Like a guest of Joe Rogan. He's like, I gotta go pee. He's like, yeah, I go pee. And then there's like this weird, like Joe Rogan, just edit this part out.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Jamie, so what are we talking about now, Jamie?
Yeah. And Jamie's just like from far away from the mic. What we were talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, so what book you got today?
So I brought Harvey Dunn, illustrator and painter of the Pioneer West. But he was
Oh, by the way, you remember last week how we talked about what's his name? The guy that did the child poetry stuff, like Where the Sidewalk Ends. And,
Shel Silverstein.
Shel Silverstein.
Yeah.
I just randomly learned that I think from the Fight Club writer. I think it was him or someone. I can't remember, but they talked about how he wrote some of. God, I'm drawing blanks on names like crazy today. The guy that does Walk the Line, you know that guy?
Oh,
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash?
Yeah, he wrote some of Johnny Cash's music. Did you know that?
No shit, huh?
Yeah.
No, I know he did more than just the poetry books, but I didn't realize that he did that sort of thing too.
Because I know he did illustrations, I think, for Playboy. I remember that was like a thing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, yeah.
But I didn't know he was like a musician. Like he did his own music.
Oh,
and
wow.
then he wrote for Johnny Cash and I guess some other people. And like that style of like music that was like country music-y, but like very dark, and like the hooks or whatever they're called, the chorus, are very like clever or something. Like he was a big part of that. I was like, that's interesting. I did a big Wikipedia dive after I heard that.
That's cool.
Which was
no,
cool.
I didn't know about that either. I should probably do that too.
Yeah, it was cool.
But here, I'll just let you see the book real quick. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Okay, so this.
I don't know if you're familiar with his work at all.
Big and heavy.
Yeah.
The internet's so much lighter than that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in my pocket.
The phone, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with his work.
He was mostly active between like the 20s and 40s, I want to say. And he was an illustrator in the days of like, Rockwell and Dean Cornwell. And
so this painting here is called Mountain Sprite. It's pretty cool. Is that the child of Mountain Dew and Sprite?
Yeah, exactly. He was an innovator in soft drinks as well as a painter.
It's energy and no caffeine. How does it done? Nice. And so what are we reading something out of this, or? Yeah,
I put my fancy schmancy bookmark in there, but no, we actually referenced this book afterwards in the interview. After the interview we did last week, we were talking a little bit about books that we were interested in, and so I brought up this book,
right?
And Nadezhda was familiar with it too, and
right. I was probably too. I was super familiar with it. Don't forget that, Sergio. Don't forget that part of the story, Sergio. Thanks a lot.
Nobody believes that.
That's cool. I like how he's doing these like explosions in clouds. He does them like so hard lined. There's like I don't know.
Just the way he paints, like even like delicate things.
Yeah, there's like this, like he uses like the, I don't know. Don't listen to me. I'm not gonna talk technique. I don't know what anything's called. The thingy, where he does the thing and then he pulls the thing out of it. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. We're just that familiar. We know that. Speak a different
language. That's cool. Cool stuff.
Yeah. So if you look at
no one can hear you, Sergio.
if you look at the back of the book, you can see how he paints. He painted all these giant canvases even for illustrations.
No wonder.
So yeah, they were shrunk down to reproducible size.
Yeah, no wonder he looks so. When you see those big paintings really up close, they look really bad.
Yeah.
They almost look like just paint, random paint. So that's why his work looks good, because you need a painting to look good when you're really up close and far away, or else it's not a real painting.
Exactly.
That's what I've heard from some books I read or something. All the books I read.
Yeah, exactly. You learned that in The Art Spirit, that book you told. You're familiar with that.
Yeah, it's my Bible.
Exactly.
It's my Bible.
But yeah, the awesome thing about the back of the book is that there's a lot of quotes from students that they compiled from just his years of teaching. Nice. He's a really influential.
Buckle up, guys! You're about to get your minds blown.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta set it up. I'm just gonna power through it. I'm trying my best not to lose confidence.
And please speak with enthusiasm.
I'll still hold my nose.
Speak like an enthusiastic student.
So let's see.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. We're really building it up.
We're like on the peak of right before the roller coaster goes downhill.
So, all right. So here's one. Imagination comes from the word image, and an image is the symbol of reality. Therefore, can we not accept imagination as a perception of truth? That isn't much like fancy, isn't it? Or is it? I actually don't know what that last part of it means, but I like the first part of it.
Wait, so you said imagination is like derived from image,
Right.
And what was that? What last little bit?
An image is a symbol of reality, so
Okay.
therefore can we not accept imagination as a perception of truth?
As a perception of truth. Sure. I mean, if you want, it's like God, I was watching comedians, and I think everything I'm talking about this episode is all comedian based.
Yeah,
God damn it! But I was watching comedians in cars, and Jerry Seinfeld was with Tracy Morgan. This is my Tracy Morgan impersonation.
Very nice.
And Tracy Morgan, he was like, that shit was funny because it was true. That was not as good as just saying his name. And Jerry Seinfeld was like fuck being true. Like, I want jokes to like have some part of it that you make up. Like, I want it to be creative.
Right.
I don't need it to be true. I just need it to be funny. And I mean, it's like, if you're gonna, I don't know. I would be more. I would like the concept of that more if he's kind of worded it where your imagination is truth rather than the image. I don't care if the image is true or not. Like, it's more like Sam Harris talking about consciousness being the one thing we know is real in this world. Like, that to me is pretty much almost similar to what he's saying, except for the idea is that consciousness being your imagination or whatever is like the one thing you can consider to be real in this world.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, that I enjoy. I don't care about the actual image being true. I'd rather that just be good and like enjoyable to look at. I don't know if truth is that important.
Well, I think he can explain things more in other quotes too.
Great.
So, like, he's talking with a student, seems like, in this one. He's like, you're too much concerned with yourself here. You thought, I wish I knew how this would look, and so on. If you had an appreciation of the tilts of the head, of the swing of the arm, etc., it might not have been drawn awfully well, but you've made a convincing and attractive statement of the fun you had. And we can't stand outside of a man and paint him well. We've got to be that man. When you paint alongside his nose, it's your nose you paint alongside. You have a knowledge of your own structure. When you paint that man or any man, it's yourself using that man as a vehicle to express you. So, I don't know. I think that's kind of true.
Really?
In a way. Yeah. When you're painting something, you kind of got to put part of yourself into it. I think if you do it in a way where you're trying to find the truth of it, you gotta use yourself partly as a vehicle to find that.
I don't know. Maybe I have to put more thought into that. This is like on the spot me thinking, but that like instantly read to me similar to like the Michelangelo. I think it's Michelangelo where he talks about the marble, the person in the marble or whatever. Okay. Like I always hated that and like like that. And I was always like, that is the most artsy bullshit, like restated. Like, I always get it. Anytime someone's like, and Michelangelo was like, the marble, I see the person in there and I bring it out. And I'm always like, all right, relax over there. Like, stop trying to convince us. Just do it. Fuck it. Like, I don't know. Like, that kind of is how that read. But maybe I have to put more mind, because that's how I kind like it almost sounds like artsy fartsiness to me, like oh, you have to be inside the man. I'm like, oh, that you lost me there. Like, but just because it sounded so like I don't know.
Maybe we just have a difference of opinion on
that. I would have to, but I this is like my first time hearing it. Right. I'd have to think about it. Just the idea of being inside it's like you have to become the river. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people are into that shit. Maybe I'm just
right. Here's one more. I think I'll
God damn it.
end on this
I'm
one.
horrible. I'm a horrible human being.
So he said, don't be subtle, be obvious, be brutal. If you're going to paint the picture of a beautiful woman, paint her as solidly as you do a stone wall. To be feminine is not to be weak, it's strong. Watch a young girl in a fluffy evening dress open a door and come out as light as thistledown into a room. It takes great strength to throw around 115 pounds of weight. And the reason I like that one is because...
That one was awesome. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, the reason I like that one is because you look at the way he paints like his females, even like the most delicate thing, it's all just like really rugged brushwork and just super thick paint. And you could see it's different than how he would paint like a soldier or something on a battlefield, but there's still a lot of energy and roughness in it, even though it still comes off as like more delicate. I just think there's so much solidity in his work. I don't know. After reading this book, I went back and looked at the paintings. I just appreciated them a lot more after reading how he thinks about painting. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think like I like that note or whatever a student took of his words, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember. What was the first one again?
Actually, what was it again? Was it imagination comes from the word image, that one?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mind that one as much. That one I'm just like nitpicking at maybe the philosophy behind it or whatever. I don't 100% agree. But I mean, maybe he has some nitpicking. Maybe there's a rebuttal to my ideas, of what I think of that. And I'd be open to hearing that too.
Do you want to hear what he says about ideas?
Sure.
Says, say to yourself rather than, I've got an idea, what am I going to do with it? Here's an idea, or say, here's an idea, what's it going to do with me? Let the idea direct your energies. There are a lot of ideas demanding expression everywhere all the time. Little ones, big ones, dainty ones, robust ones, all kinds. Now, ideas, if true, must also have intelligence, otherwise they'd be no part of truth. So give it credit for having intelligence, and when it comes to you for expression, realize that it has chosen you, and having intelligence, it knows the vehicle it needs. So don't think this idea is too big for me. If it chooses you, then you can express it, so keep yourself out of it.
I mean, there's things I agree and disagree with it.
Well, sure.
There's also things I don't know, like for sure. Like, ideas are weird. They're a weird thing that just come, like... Sometimes I'm like, fuck, that's a great idea. Like, and it just overwhelms me. I just have to do it at some point. But I don't know. Like, there's also this like thing I think isn't like one of the things I think is important is consistently like trying to think of new ideas or trying to do new ideas or whatever. Because I think it's almost like a practice where like, the more you do this, the more you try to think of new ideas or acknowledge little ideas or whatever, the more easier it is to have them or do them. Like, I think, it's like you train your mind to like let yourself go in this direction, and then it ends up being like a habit of yours to being like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me write this down real quick. And I think if you're not doing that, which isn't good or like, I'm not saying new ideas or whatever are like the end all be all, but like for me, being someone who's like always trying to have like a narrative or think of new concepts to like work off of, new ideas are super important to me. So I'm always trying to like, be in my sketchbook, allowing myself to fail at shitty ideas or try ideas that fail or whatever, because I think what ends up happening is it sets my brain up to always be on the lookout for these ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what I've been trying to get back into now with my sketchbook now, because I realized that I talked myself out of a lot of ideas, or in my head at least, because I thought, oh, that's dumb or like too small of an idea. So that's kind of why I like that quote.
Yeah. The only thing is, there's just little nitpicks, just of how we think of things. But I don't think it's like negative. I don't think he's wrong or I'm right. I just nitpick of like how I see it, you know, how I deal with these things called ideas or whatever. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's like kind of what works for you.
Yeah.
Like, and what you're trying to achieve. And, you know, I don't know, you might literally be not trying to have any ideas at all when you paint or clear your mind or some shit like that, which is the lack of all ideas, I guess. So I don't fucking know. And I'm just trying to paint what I think is good and what I want to paint.
Right.
So there's just little thingies, but I think it probably helped people, like being able to at least see how he's thinking and how he tackles certain things or thinks about certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's good. I just, I don't know. Am I weird? I don't know. I'm always trying to figure this out because it's like I think of things like I'm always thinking of things in a certain way, and then I have no idea how the fuck people think about things. Do you know what I mean?
I kind of do.
It's like the amount of time I spend on certain things, like it's like even like what he's saying, like I've thought of things similar, but just differently.
Right.
But I don't know if people do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I think that's why religion exists, is because people are just like, okay, those people thought of the things and they make some sense. And,
yeah.
And I agree with that. So that's cool. But like, for me, I'm always like, I don't know. It's like, I'm trying to figure out these things based on my experience. And,
do you feel like you try to find like the chink in the armor sort of thing, like of all ideas?
I definitely do that, but I also try to find like the logic, like the good as well. Like, oh, that makes sense, or this doesn't make sense. Right. Because there's people like that have really put time and effort to this shit, you know, like, and there are some people that I feel like have less chinks in their armor and are way smarter than me. And I, you know, and I go like, oh, well, like I appreciate their opinion. Yeah. Way more. Usually it's when there's more like, I don't know, like a lot more logic to it. This guy is great, but he's got a little woo-woo to him too, which is great. Bit, yeah. But it's tough. It's tough for me to hear like put yourself in this person because I like instantly go like, oh, that was like a little too woo-woo for me. But I don't know. It doesn't even seem like you think it's woo-woo. No. So that's. But
also, I understand it in the context that I was telling people, because he was teaching illustrators, and a lot of the illustrators that he was teaching at the time were like, they kind of had to have this sort of like actor background a little bit. Almost for like what they were illustrating. So they kind of had to be
almost like a method artist.
Kind of, yeah. So like in order to paint something convincingly of a scene that you're basically making up, you either have to put it together with props or imagine it. So in order to do that, you kind of have to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, I think.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I feel like this would be a long like conversation. It just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But yeah, whatever.
Well, that's probably been 2 hours anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah. Fuck. Well, this has been the episode. I don't know. Feel free to like come at me, bros, for my nonsense disagreeing with Harvey Dunn. That is his real name. Oh. But yeah, it's been a fun one.
Yeah.
As always, me and Sergio
good catching up and then getting made fun of a bit. I always appreciate that.
By who?
By you.
You fucking asshole, Josh. Yeah. And yeah, I think is this it? Are we done?
I think so.
Did we do it?
Unless we want to drag it out some more like we have before.
Are we dragging this out?
I don't know. Are we?
Did we do that?
I think we should just drag it out some more.
I don't know. What should we do? Should we end this or not end this?
Let's think about it some more. Let's not say anything while we think about it.
All I'm trying to say is put yourself in that tree, guys. Put yourself in the
Speaking
tree.
of trying to end things, how about we try some more to end it?
I was over there eating a side challenge. And, all right. Well, this has been Wait and Dry. If you're still listening after that long ass end, seriously, fuck off.